India's vaccination starts tomorrow morning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be leading the big launch then nationwide. The first set of people will be queuing up to get their first dose of the much anticipated vaccine. Here is all you need to know about what happens tomorrow.
आज भारत एक नहीं बल्कि 2 मेड इन इंडिया कोरोना वैक्सीन के साथ मानवता की सुरक्षा के लिए तैयार है।
The wait is finally over. Hours from now, India will kickstart the world's biggest COVID vaccination drive. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has been closely monitoring the development of the vaccines, will virtually launch the vaccination drive at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. The vaccination drive will begin at 3,006 sites that will be virtually connected during the weekend launch. On day one, 3 lakh health workers who have been at the forefront of the COVID fight will get free shots. Each vaccine center will inoculate 100 people a day. Prime Minister Modi will also inaugurate the government's CoWIN app, which will be used for registration and tracking of vaccine beneficiaries. The centre has approved Serum Institute's Covishield and Bharat Biotech's Covaxin for the vaccination. The union government has procured 1.1 crore Covishield doses from Serum Institute at a price of 210 per dose in the first batch. The total amount comes to 231 crore rupees. In the second lot, it will procure 4.5 crore doses. Similarly, the government has procured 55 lakh doses of Covaxin. Though the vaccine is priced at 309 rupees per dose, Bharat Biotech is donating 16.5 lakh doses, bringing down the purchase amount to 162 crore rupees. However, those who will get a jab will not have the choice of choosing the vaccine. A total of 80 lakh beneficiaries will get the COVID vaccine jabs in the first priority list.
In the COVID-19 pandemic, it was these healthcare workers who took bullets for people. And yet again, it is these healthcare workers who will be taking the first silver bullet of the vaccine made against coronavirus. There are rumors moving around about vaccines, but they will be the first ones taking the first jab so that people in the country feel confident about vaccines that are made in India. With Pradeep Gupta, this is Milan Sharma for India Today.
To get a sense of the preparations that are underway at some of the country's top hospitals, I want to go across at this moment to Dr. Naresh Trehan, Chairman Managing Director, Medanta, the Medicity. Dr. Sandeep Buddhiraja is the Group Medical Director, Max Healthcare, and the Senior Director of the Institute of Internal Medicine. Dr. Trehan, welcome. All set for V-Day. This is what we've been waiting for as we've been locked up at home for almost a year now. Give us a sense of your personal preparations, of the preparations at the hospital, and the mood amongst the medical staff right ahead of this big V-Day.
So finally it has arrived. The day has come where we can smell some relief from this terrible pandemic which has been battering us for the last 10 months, especially the healthcare frontline workers. They have been stood steady for 10 months, sometimes not even going home for many weeks together. So for us, it's a big, big, big relief that the beginning of the end may happen from tomorrow. So we are all prepared. Medanta has 6,000 employees of our own to vaccinate, and it's going to start tomorrow. So, and it'll be interesting to know because of the fact that it's voluntary. It's not mandatory, but almost everybody wants to get it done, which is a nice thing. I'm also going to get my shot tomorrow, first in the morning. So there is a lot of sense of, relief and actually the hope that we will see a great difference.
So what is the percentage of people, if I could ask, sir, in your hospital who are signing up, who say, yes, we want to volunteer and receive the inoculation? And how many say they want to just stay back and see what happens?
Well, over 80% have already registered. So, and then registration has just started. Actually speaking, that we are also doing simultaneously a very extensive study, a trial on this whole stream, starting from the fact that before somebody gets a vaccination, we'll do their antibody count. During the vaccination, whether they experience any side effects or adverse events. What happens in the immediate time after the vaccination? What happens in the intermediate? Do they develop antibodies, get the second dose, get the 4 weeks later, get again the antibodies? So we are documenting every step of the way, including the waiting time, half an hour after getting the vaccine, whether they feel any side effects or something. So this study, once we finish it, will give us very valuable data. And what is the enthusiastic part of it is that we have told all the people who are volunteering to get the vaccine that if they like to participate in this study, they should. And we have had almost 100% consent to participate in the study. So it's you can see the relief. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But there are certain caveats which we all must know also. And that is that just the fact that you get vaccinated doesn't mean you are immune. The second dose has to come, and then 3 to 4 weeks later is when we think you'll get full immunity. So till then, of course, you have to be extremely careful. But even after that, till the critical mass of India that we are calculating at 300 million, they get vaccinated, then we can say we are heading towards herd immunity, and maybe we can start relaxing a little bit. So it's
Dr. Sandeep Buddhiraja, what's the preparation at your setup at Max Healthcare? How many doctors and to sign up, and how many just want to let the others go first and see what happens?
So Rahul, I would fully echo the sentiments voiced by Dr. Trehan, and I think it's a silver lining day which all of us as healthcare workers and in fact as citizens have been waiting and looking forward to. So we have at Max Healthcare 5 vaccination centers in Delhi NCR, which will be catering to initially the healthcare workers in our group of hospitals, which are over 15,000 healthcare workers. And the initial impression which I have is most of them, a large majority of them, are absolutely waiting for the vaccination and be participative of that. Just on the same lines as Dr. Trehan mentioned about a potential study, we are also conceptualizing a detailed study of all the healthcare workers who get vaccinated and follow them up over next few weeks with their serial antibody and a potential adverse effects, if at all. And this entire set of information, I think, pooled from various organizations, ultimately will add to a very valuable academic pool and data on which to sort of base the effect of vaccination and how long the immunity lasts.
Okay.
I think this is a very, very important day for all of us. And as Dr. Trehan rightly said, hopefully a beginning of the end.
Now, I have a question, Dr. Trehan, about the second dose. Now, from what I have figured from the manufacturers and the researchers at Oxford and AstraZeneca, is that they now believe, post the latest round of research, that the second dose is more efficacious or creates more immunity after a period of 8 to 12 weeks, which is 2 or 3 months later. However, the government of India at this time is saying that the second dose should happen 28 days later, which is what the first set of trials was done for. And I understand that that's the data they got and that's the approval that's been granted. But from the perspective of a layperson, I say if the researchers who made the vaccine and the company which is producing it thinks that I'm better off if I take it after 2 or 3 months, then why should I take the second dose after 28 days? What's your view on that, Dr. Trehan?
So I think we should go with 28 days. First of all,
why?
There is a big gap between your immunity does not kick in till the second dose is given, the booster is given. So you are exposing yourself for the next 2-3 months into the same state that you were before you got the first shot. So basically, 28 days is the largest number of people who were studied. Now, new things come and keep confusing the issue. There are many factors behind it. Countries have said, okay, we are finding it difficult to inoculate. We need that many doses. So maybe by extending the period between two doses, maybe we'll be able to vaccinate more people quickly, which is a methodology. But you don't know in large numbers over a long period of time that does that 2 to 3 month extension work better, reliably, or we are just going on spec. So today, I support the government of India's decision that let's go with 28 days. Let's get the population vaccinated. We have the ability to vaccinate a lot of people. There has been a lot of preparation that's gone in. I'm hoping, and I don't think there will be chaos like has happened in some of the other countries. America is a total chaos. So if the planning that we have put into place and the protocols that are in place, if we stick to them and practice them properly, we will be able to do maximum number of vaccinations. And as you know, this is being manufactured in India, the Serum Institute.
And you're making an important point, because I just picked up an interesting data nugget. So far, American company Moderna has sent 9 million doses in the entire month and more that the vaccination's been on in the United States, Dr. Buddhi Raja, whereas in India already, in the first dose itself, in the first batch itself, from one company in Pune, we were able to send 11 million doses, which shows that unlike, what people may think, those who don't like the way things operate in India or outside naysayers against India, we actually have scale and planning of a level that hasn't been seen even in countries like the United States.
Absolutely, Rahul. In fact, if you see the original thought process in US, they were planning to vaccinate 20 million people before the new year, by the end of the last year. And they managed to do only 2 million vaccinations. So I think across the world, there is no comparison between the way Indians can scale up the production of vaccine. And I think this is a moment for all of us to feel really proud of ourselves that we have managed as a country to not only produce an indigenous vaccine, that's the Covaxin, plus also be the largest producer of Oxford vaccine, and we are the potential suppliers to half of the world. I think this is a matter to celebrate and really be proud of. And I think to just add to your earlier question, which you had asked, I think what is happening in UK is essentially a strategy to try to vaccinate with first dose as many people as they can. And because of that, they are trying to include all these strategies of increasing the gap between two vaccines to 12 weeks. And also,
no, but that's not correct. I just want to, both of you are the medical practitioners, but that's not correct. The facts are that the latest clinical research done by Oxford University and AstraZeneca show that the efficacy of the Oxford vaccine is higher when the second dose is taken between 8 to 12 months. This is not what's happening in the US. So what both of you are saying is indeed what's happening in the US, where they're staggering the second dose because they want to inoculate more people through the first dose, give a basic level of protection. But with this particular vaccine, efficacy is higher after 2 or 3 months. That's the data from Oxford University, Dr. Trehan. That's not my understanding of the situation.
No, Rahul, we are talking about UK. We are talking about UK. UK is the one where the idea came up first, and the study was done later. But this is all confusion because they themselves don't know. They talk about half dose, double dose. I think we have got a very stable regime. We should not get sucked into all the other considerations that may be going into it. I'm not saying it's correct or not correct. I think there is not sufficient data for enough time. UK came up with this strategy that we are unable to inoculate so many, so maybe we can be able to cover a very large population if we stagger the doses further. This is UK strategy. We are not confused. We are very clear that it's the UK strategy that has come up. America doesn't even have the Oxford vaccine. That is all modern. Their problems are different. The UK we are talking about.
Now, how I know this is because I spoke to Adrian Hill, who is the lead researcher at Oxford University at the Jennifer Institute, Dr. Buddhi Raja, because this is a question that will come in people's mind. They watched that interview with Professor Hill, and he was very clear. The efficacy of his vaccine, he believes, is more after 2 or 3 months rather than at 28 days.
So Rahul, if you see the second point which UK has said, that they can change the type of vaccine for the second dose. So you can swap between Pfizer, Moderna and Oxford. That's the second theory which is going on in UK. So what we are saying, and Dr. Trehan is also saying exactly the same thing, these facts presently are not corroborated by extensive data. Yes, Pfizer feels that anytime. So if you see scientifically, the concept of a booster dose or the second dose is that it can be given after an interval. Now, whether that is 4 weeks, 8 weeks or 12 weeks, once an extensive data comes up, only then we'll be able to say which is the best timing. But let me tell you, any time beyond 3 or 4 weeks is good enough for a person to immune a good antibody response. So if we are talking about what is the best strategy, we would want to give 2 doses to people at the earliest possible interval so that those individuals get fully protected. Now, trying to increase the interval, giving a second vaccine is not substantiated by the large field trials. So I think Indian government is doing the right thing to sticking to the protocol which was laid down in the initial studies. Obviously, as we go down the time, things may change. New vaccines will come up, new schedules will come up, but we should, I think as a country, are doing the right thing by sticking to the original plan as laid down the initial trials.
Okay.
That's all we are saying.
I want to show our viewers about what's happening at various hospitals nationwide. 3 lakh healthcare workers across roughly 2,934 sites will be vaccinated on day 1. The vials of Covishield and Covaxin have already reached these centers, and healthcare workers are excited about receiving their first shots.
India is all set for a nationwide rollout of COVID vaccination on Saturday. All the preparations are in place across the states. In Delhi, the vaccines will reach the designated centers in the morning under the supervision of local magistrates.
This is a vaccine room where healthcare workers who are listed on a list that was already submitted to the government will come through. They will be vaccinated here, and from there on, the vaccination officer too will look at any sort of adverse events for the vaccinator if there are any.
We are at Delhi's prestigious Lady Hardinge Medical College. The countdown has begun for the immunization process, and this is where the teams are ready. There is security that's already in place. The Coven app at this Lady Hardinge Medical College, just as people walk in for immunization, this is where they go for registration. And with us is Dr. Professor N.N. Mathur.
The vaccine has finally arrived, and we are all set to vaccinate the healthcare workers to start with.
Like the rest of the country, the health workers in the national capital will get the first jab.
I have volunteered to take the first shot of this institute. I am very confident that there is nothing to be afraid of, nothing to fear, and I want to send a very strong message across that since I am taking it, I am volunteering, people should not be afraid of taking that.
In neighboring Uttar Pradesh, 1,500 centers have been set up for the vaccination. A total of 9 lakh health workers will be vaccinated in the first phase.
We are here at the KGMU Center, where tomorrow 100 beneficiaries will be getting the benefit. If I talk about Uttar Pradesh, there are total 317 centers with 31,700 beneficiaries on the day 1.
Total number of beneficiaries which we expect is around 9,500. To take care of that, we have around 200 officials from the government, A&M, police officers and constables who would be helping us. We have deployed around 100 junior doctors and around 25 senior doctors to supervise all the management in Kalam Center.
In Bihar, India Today caught up with the 2 health workers who will get the vaccine first.
पहला व्यक्ति है बिहार का नंबर 1। हम सबको गर्व हो रहा है कि पहला टीका हम सबको पड़ रहा है।
हम तो यही बोलेंगे कि डर के आगे जीत है, दिल से डर निकालिए और टीका लगवाइए। कोई डरने की जरूरत नहीं है। जब आपके दिल में डर रहेगा तो कोरोना रहेगा।
With just a few hours now to go for the vaccination, the vaccines have been dispatched to the designated center in Maharashtra capital Mumbai. Telangana has also geared up for the vaccination, where 139 centers have been designated for the delivering of COVID jabs.
30 numbers of healthcare worker, frontline worker, they've been identified and they'll get vaccine at this Gandhi Hospital. Apart from Gandhi Hospital, a total 139 centers have been identified across state, including 123 in districts.
The authorities in Tamil Nadu too have geared up for the mega vaccination drive.
In Chennai, we're currently at Rajiv Gandhi Hospital, where you could see the vaccination area. All kind of preparations have been already done, and even the boxes that are supposed to transport the vials are here. And Chennai so far has received 5,56,500 vaccines, of which 5,36,500 are from Covishield, and the rest 20,000 is Covaxin.
While the vaccine is here, the fight against the COVID is far from over. With Milan Sharma and Gaurav Sawant in Delhi, Abhishek Mishra in Lucknow, Ashish in Hyderabad and Pramod in Chennai, Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to go across now to a very important man, the man who's responsible for bringing India's COVID strategy together. Dr. V.K. Paul is at the Niti Aayog. He's in charge of the task force which is responsible for India's response to this pandemic. Tomorrow is a big day. How set are you for Saturday, Dr. Paul? Do you have the sense of confidence going in that this will be a smooth rollout at a scale that the world hasn't seen? The world will sit back and admire the finesse of India's rollout? Or are you anticipating or fearing the kind of initial hiccups which are going on even in the United States, even at this moment?
Well, tomorrow is truly a great day. We are looking forward to the launch of COVID-19 vaccination program in our country. Yes, indeed, we are well prepared for it. We have been working on multiple facets of preparation, and we are waiting for this day. I think we have absolute confidence that our state governments, our district teams, our block teams, we will all be able to deliver a great beginning to a great program tomorrow.
So, what is your biggest concern? What do you think can potentially go wrong? One of the things, I spent some time with the manufacturers in their labs, and one of the things the scientists told me they fear the most is that when these vaccines leave the clinical mode, enter the real world, and once they get punctured, and if the healthcare workers who are administering these vaccines aren't careful, then after a certain number of hours, 4 hours is the recommended shelf life, after 4 hours bacteria starts seeping into the vial, and that can create infections if the vial isn't disposed of. So you have to finish it off in 4 hours, not keep it for longer. Now that's the kind of detailing which will become very crucial to determining how efficacious this vaccine is in the real world. How confident are you that this level of precision and detailing has been drilled down in small towns, villages, cities, wherever the vaccine will be administered?
Rahul, this is one thing I'm truly not worried about, because the people, our nurses, our doctors and frontline vaccinators, they are so used to giving injections and even more so vaccination to children and to pregnant women in hundreds and thousands. There is a huge cumulative experience of how vaccines are administered based on a clear-cut, specific, precise SOP. Puncturing vials and looking after the vial for a finite period of time. No, these are the SOPs and norms that these people have followed for many, many years and against many such sessions. I'm really not worried. What the government has also done is systematically refreshed all this and given training, explained how this particular vaccine has to be loaded, has to be injected. So I think this is a skill which is a generic skill that we already have. On top, there is a skill and experience of dealing with other vaccines which also demand huge precision, and even more so when you're dealing with vaccinating children. And therefore, I'm not really worried about this. I have faith in the skills and the knowledge and commitment of our frontline healthcare workers who will now deliver these vaccines to the priority groups.
we saw that a plane from Brazil is on its way to India. 2 million doses will be sent to Brazil, and Brazilians are fantastic people and we're fond of the relationship our two countries have. But the one question that people will have, Dr. Paul, is at this moment, would it not have been better for the government to take those 2 million doses and give them to Indians? There are Indians who are lining up, waiting, desperate to get their hands on that vaccine. And here we are sending the vaccine abroad. It's a great ideal and I appreciate the sentiment behind it. But should this not be India comes first?
Rahul, remember, India's commitment toward vaccination program goes beyond just our own country. The Prime Minister has stated, and people have accepted and lauded what he said, that our vaccine capabilities and capacity is available for humanity, manavata ke liye. So there will be a balance between meeting the needs of our own people in sufficient amount, in a systematic manner, and there will be a part of the stockpile available to be shared with the rest of humanity. And this shows the greatness of the nation in terms of large-heartedness, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, but also it showcases our capabilities in science and technology and in vaccine production of high-quality vaccines that these COVID-19 vaccines would be. So it should be seen holistically as India's overall responsibility for the nation and beyond. But also remember, when we have said that we want to prioritize 30 crore people and administer vaccine to these people at the earliest in a matter of a few months, we have factored this in as to the fact that part of the stockpile made in India is to be shared.
So, but I have one more question, Dr. Paul, and the question is this.
So it's part of a larger design,
my understanding
and the government will work according to that design.
Okay, so my understanding after speaking to all the key vaccine manufacturers and their chief executives is that our production capacity at this time and our actual holding stocks are more than the government's orders at this moment, which means there is ready supply in these cold storages, which will allow for more people to be vaccinated. When people hear that kind of stuff, they wonder, mera number kab aayega? You've got healthcare workers, the armed forces, the police getting vaccines, which is great. They are indeed the priority. But what about the rest of the country?
Well, the kind of statement that you quoted is actually the cause for this confusion. We must remember that the order that has been given today is the very first order of a finite capacity and finite amount as a starting point. This is not the last order.
Sure.
And when the country has planned rollout of a vaccine program over a period of months, the total capacity of all these companies has been taken into account. We are not going to be only planning for the first dose, but also the second dose, and for all the groups that are lined up. And the vaccines are there for stable for a period of several months. So our overall planning takes into account not just the available stockpile today, but also the projected stockpile that these companies will produce. And having taken that into account, I assure you that in fact we would have just enough vaccine available for us to immunize our priority groups, and as more vaccine comes up, there will be other groups to be included, and this is part of the program, and therefore be rest assured that one is not at the cost of the other. Both these objectives are being met in a systematic manner, and obviously India and Indians are first and foremost priority.
This is indeed a big day, a big moment, and it is my gut feeling, I don't know if it ultimately pans out like that, that the world and Indians will marvel at the finesse, the scale and the sophistication of the Indian vaccine rollout. If it goes wrong, then there'll be people who will just cut this bit and make it viral separately, but that's a different matter. But I just, after having a deep sense of the preparations that have been made and how this has been planned, I think there will be scale of a kind which we haven't seen in any other country so far. Fingers crossed. We wish you all the best, Dr. Paul, thank you for the effort that you and your teams are making, and we'll track very closely how the first round of vaccination goes. Dr. V.K. Paul, the man leading India's fight against COVID, for joining us on the Newstrack. Thank you, sir. I'm slipping into a very quick break right now. When I come back, I'll get you excerpts from crucial interviews with the two men who are responsible for the doses that are being rolled out. We'll have Dr. Krishna runs Bharat Biotech, and we'll have Adar Poonawalla from the Serum Institute giving us their sense of the level of preparedness and how confident they are about the products they've created, external substances which will now be injected first into healthcare workers and then in your body and mind, provided of course you're not a naysayer, you're not a vaccine skeptic, and you actually want that dose. To each his own. Back on the other side, stay with us. Dr. Krishna, amongst the 26,000 people who've been administered the first dose of Covaxin, what are the kind of side effects that you've picked up so far? We don't know the results of the final trial, but once that first injection was put in, can you tell us what are the typical side effects that are being reported?
Major side effect is little pain in the local reaction and maybe a small fever. Only two main things. Remaining nothing much at all, honestly. There's nothing. And we have briefed entire 26,000 people after vaccination. We gave it to Drug Controller General of India. We gave it to subject expert committees. We briefed all the safety profile. Even after second dose, about 6,000 people, we gave the data. So what we have seen is first dose, maybe about 6 to 7% of people got little bit fever and little pain in the local reaction. But when it comes to second dose, absolutely no adverse reaction. I don't know why, but after second dose, no reactions at all. It's one of the safest vaccine, Rahul. Trust me, I'm telling you, it's the safest vaccine. If inactivated vaccine is not the safest, I don't think any technology can be safer than this one.
No, one of the concerns raised by experts is that unless the final results come out, you don't know how effective the vaccine is, and they're citing what happened in Brazil. You would have seen Brazilian health authorities did a press conference saying that the Chinese vaccine only has a 50% efficacy rate, down from 80% which was claimed earlier. And they're saying that some of these vaccines also used inactivated viruses like the Bharat Biotech vaccine, and therefore the concern is whether this branch or this idea or the notion of using inactivated viruses in the case of COVID-19 works as effectively. What would you say to these people?
It is a very good question, Rahul. I'll tell you, when the same trial was done in Dubai, they got 86% efficacy. When they go to Brazil, they got above 50. But 50 is also licensed because WHO said not less than 50% efficacy, still get the license. But why is the same vaccine, if another company, maybe Pfizer, if they do the efficacy trial in India, they may not get 94% in India. It may be lower. So we have seen in the rotavirus vaccine, when you do in a clinical trial in US, you get 100% efficacy. When it's the same vaccine, the US vaccine, comes to Bangladesh or India, it's less than 39-40% efficacy.
Why is that? Sorry, I'm puzzled, but why is that?
It's because of the health hygiene reasons. Lot of other reasons. For example, rotavirus, at least I can tell that it may be because of the gastro problems of the individuals, and the vaccine, the way it behaves in other situations are different. But our vaccine, Covaxin, I will tell you, it will pass through the regulatory requirement, number one. Number two, we are doing efficacy trials right in India. And I'm confident about the Indian trial. I have not done in some other country to prove this. But whereas if the other country, other manufacturers, if they do same efficacy, like for example, AstraZeneca, if you do same efficacy trial in India, they may not get 64%, 60%. It may be lower. But that's why they have not done the efficacy trial in India. But you do in a geographically different regions will produce different efficacy data. That's a common in many of the viral vaccines. Nobody can challenge me on that point. I can give 100 examples for that vaccines, every vaccine. But I think we are the only one doing an efficacy trial in India. Give me some trust for that. Nobody has done an efficacy trial in India. We are the only one who have done rotavirus efficacy trial with the cherry kind, which is Gagandeep kind. And we have done, again, phase 2, number 2 product. Again, we are done with this one, Covaxin. Efficacy trial going on right now.
Okay? So you mentioned that in the case of Ebola and the Nipah vaccines, Even there, permissions were given without the phase 3 trial being completed. However, and I want to quote once again Professor Gagandeep Kang, who says that the example of Ebola doesn't apply to COVID-19, and I'm quoting to you what she said. This is because of differences in their mortality rates as well as the fact that we have other licensed products to take on COVID-19. She asks, and I want you to respond to it, I would ask you, would you want to give a vaccine without efficacy emergency use authorization in these circumstances? Basically, if there are vaccines for which we have the final trial results, why not do the same for Covaxin? That's Gagandeep Kang's question.
I am telling you, Covaxin phase 3 efficacy undergoing on. So please give respect for that, number one. Number two, Ebola is given because mortality was higher. I will not agree that. The reason I will not agree, because even here, people kill, a lot of healthcare workers died in this country. Is it not a mortality of healthcare workers dying? Is it not related to that type of death? Number one. Number two, the economy is collapsed. We need to get back to the situations to the work. Is it not a pandemic? Ebola was also a pandemic. COVID also is a pandemic. Both are COVID. It's all how a scientist looks at it, where the mortality...
No, but Gagandeep Kang says that there was no other Ebola vaccine at the time when the first one was given permission, plus the mortality rate for Ebola was much higher than with COVID-19.
Yes, that's why the Covishield also, Serum Institute is also approved. I'm glad our regulators approved 2 vaccines right now, 2 given at least permission. So I'm not denying it. Let others also come in. I use the emergency license procedure. So why is it not, to me, relevant? When Ebola can be done in other country, why not here? It all depends how you view the virology, how you view the epidemic. Both are pandemic. Ebola and COVID, both are pandemic. By definition, there's no change in that.
Adar, I want to spend some time talking about the safety of the vaccines that you're producing. Now, the biggest concern world over is how safe is not just the Serum Institute vaccine, all the vaccines that are being made. You know, people are really petrified about the consequences of vaccines that have been manufactured so quickly.
So, as you can see, these are fully automated lines. Groninger, Bosch, a lot of manufacturers use German and Belgium and other European automated manufacturers where the vials are washed at high speed, then they're heated at a very high temperature going through this tunnel that you can see in front of you, and then after that it's filled. So the containers in which the vaccine lands up in is very clean, and then of course you saw how it was being screened and checked for particulate matter to ensure the highest levels of safety. And you know, we have tried to remove human intervention as much as possible, so that, you know, as you can see over here, you can only put your hand in with a glove through these openings here. This is an isolator line, so that you never come into contact. No human being ever comes into contact. As you can see, you put your hand through a glove, so you won't come into contact with the product directly.
So you're talking about the cleanliness of the manufacturing process. My concerns are more about the side effects after someone's actually got the vaccine.
So, you know, whether it's a chimperinovirus or a killed virus, live attenuated virus, different technologies that different vaccine manufacturers are working on, there are bound to be some side effects. That's the case with pneumonia vaccines, measles vaccines, rotavirus vaccines. But this should not, you know, alarm us in any way that vaccines are unsafe or, you know, you're going to get sick. A very small percentage of people react badly to vaccines, but there's nothing to be worried about.
So what are the typical side effects if somebody gets your vaccine?
Little fever, little headache, little sore throat maybe, but that lasts for about 2 days and you take a paracetamol and that goes away. That's been proven in thousands of people globally now who have taken our vaccine, and no severe side effects beyond that have been noticed.
The apprehension for those who are the naysayers or the vaccine skeptics is that there is just so much money riding on the idea of coming up with a vaccine and rolling out this project, that even if some side effects are being seen, even if there is some pushback because of the vaccine, people will pepper over it. Hide it under the carpet ki boss ab rollout karo, jaldi karo, jaldi karo.
No, we've got the highest level of vigilance with the Drug Controller of India, which is monitoring any side effect, no matter how small or big it is, and we are ensuring that no risk to human life is going to be there as a rollout of these vaccines, which is definitely happening at a rapid pace, which is required, and we need to be united in this. You know, it can't just be that a manufacturer takes the risk. Even the public have to have some faith and understand that this is required, because until we vaccinate everybody, nobody is safe.
No, but you put out a statement saying the government should indemnify pharma companies that are manufacturing these vaccines from lawsuits. And people are saying, hey, if I take Adar's vaccine and something happens to me, why should Adar be indemnified?
Correct. Good question. So let me put that in the right context. I mentioned that this is something the government can look at, because even in the US and other countries, we're looking at these laws being invoked by the government to protect manufacturers only during the time of a pandemic where a massive rollout of vaccines is going to happen. And as a result, you know, there are bound to be some bona fide and non-bona fide cases. And if we see the courts intervening and stopping vaccination programs pending investigations, that's the real risk that we're talking about, and we don't want that to happen. To protect the government programs from being paused or looked at, if you remember, there were some incidences where the trial was stopped for about a month when there was a case abroad. And, you know, that really puts us on a back step in being able to reach the target of being able to vaccinate that critical mass in a population to build up that immunity that is required. So these lawsuits have the ability to slow down and delay these campaigns, which is the only reason why we suggested to the government that perhaps only during the pandemic rollout of these vaccines, indemnity should be granted to the vaccine manufacturers.
So what's happening? Keep explaining to us what's happening here right now.
As you can see, which you already shot on the other side, is the washing has taken place.
That's the washing?
Yes. And then it gets fed into the tunnel over here, where it's heated.
What happens inside the tunnel?
It's heated at 200 degrees, so that anything inside that may or may not be there is destroyed before the product comes into contact with the glass vial.
They're decontaminating the vial.
Correct, correct. So it's all automated. You have someone loading it in here, someone picking it up at the other end. So there's no human intervention here at all.